What's going on, people? Good morning. Welcome to United View. Welcome to the Morning View. Feels like a little while, actually, since me and Owen have been here in the morning, 9 a.m. show, Morning View, live. Am I right in saying that? Because I challenged you to tell me the last time it was.
It's probably more recent than we think. You know what the issue is this season, and it's funny, we were just kind of discussing this, is that it's just a lot happens in the world of Manchester United, particularly this season. When there's a game every 3 or 4 days, I don't know about you, but I can't remember like a couple of days prior because there's just so much. Plus, add in takeover, add in injuries, add in whatever it may be. It's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot.
Exactly. Quite a few bits going on this morning. Obviously, at the top of the show, as you've seen on the thumbnail, Bruno injury doubt. We saw pictures of him yesterday from his other half. He was in a protective boot with his legs raised, exactly, and it was recharging. Was the little emoji in the corner. We'll talk a little bit about that. Is he an injury doubt? Obviously, a big game on Thursday, chance to pretty much cement top 4. It was the sun, so we'll talk about that with a bit of a pinch of salt. But it was interesting to see Harry Kane and Marcus Rashford 300k deals at Manchester United. We'll talk a little bit about that. Some bit of goalkeeper update as well. With some movement there. Kim Min-jae, a little bit of talk about that and him and everything there in between with Manchester United as well. But straight from the top, listen, this actually is important because we can't have any more injuries. I hope we haven't got any more injuries. What was the sort of reports? Well, it wasn't really a report, was it? It's weird, actually. No. It was a report from Bruno's missus.
Yeah, from his actual partner. So Bruno Fernandes is pictured wearing a protective boot on his right ankle after seemingly suffering an injury on Sunday. Of course, that was in the FA Cup semi-final. Bruno Fernandes came off, which a lot of people at the time said, I know I certainly did. Everyone went, that's a bit strange. You know, getting close to the penalty shootouts, Bruno definitely take a penalty, but he was clearly limping and he didn't look particularly happy. There were reports
when he came off, because obviously I was up in the gods. I couldn't see when
when
he took him off. I went, oh, everyone turned around and went, oh, I don't know about that. But
yeah, it was one of those discomfort. Well, it was one of those ones which you couldn't tell. Like, is he just really exhausted? Like, what's because he looked, or is he annoyed that he's coming off, or is he injured? He had a pain in the face, but you didn't really know, is he injured? And then yesterday there were reports saying that essentially he might have been injured at like half time or something like that, but he pushed through. Nevertheless, as I mentioned, his partner put a picture on Instagram yesterday of Bruno at home. I'm looking at it right now. He's got, I guess, a cup of tea in his left hand. He's got his foot up in a protective boot on 3 cushions. And yes, as you say, recharging is the emoji in the bottom left corner. And there's some crutches. I actually just saw that. Yeah. And
bigger boots.
Boot. Yeah, and a bigger boot. Yeah. So obviously people are concerned about this. And it's weird, isn't it, with footballers and athletes, because realistically, he still could play Thursday, despite being pictured like this. You would think, oh, there's no chance he'll play on Thursday. But sometimes just because of the protective measures that they'll go to, and like they'll put those special protective boots on, when they're like compression things and they like freeze it and all that kind of stuff. So he very well could play Thursday, but looking at that and looking at the fact that there are crutches in the picture and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't look good, Fleck.
No, big man thing, yeah. It doesn't look good, bruv. It doesn't look good. I don't know. We don't know. It's a really hard one to predict, isn't it? Because Thursday's quite soon as well. It's only in a couple of days. And that was pictured was yesterday. But that picture could have been, I know, because the final was on Sunday, wasn't it? Yesterday was Monday. So it couldn't have been, it's not like a picture that was ages, like, do you know what I mean? The picture was then. You would have thought. It
had to have been Monday.
Yeah. Exactly. It would have to have been Monday.
If we're going to get really forensic on this, in like the background, it looks like it's the daytime. So it kind of been Sunday.
Old CSI. Yeah, exactly. The picture would have to be Monday. And it looked like he was doing a little bit of old school, you know what I mean? A little bit of rice, a little bit of rest, ice compression, elevation, the old school
PE.
Old school PE, get the pack of peas, put your legs up on the sofa or on a chair in the medical room at school with the school nurse. Oh, miss, I've done this. Or sir, I've done this. Put your leg up, little bit of rice. But yeah, I think that's looking a bit peak for Thursday. Because if the swelling doesn't come down enough and he doesn't train today, because he'd need to train today. Would have had a recovery yesterday. They'll train today. And then tomorrow, really, really light, nothing proper, because obviously it's match day. Oh no, tomorrow. Oh no, tomorrow's the day before match day. So yeah, tomorrow light. Tomorrow light training. Today full training. Yesterday recovery. And if the swelling hasn't gone down and he can't put his weight on it properly and can't sprint and it's not 100%, I'm not going to say like we've got loads of big games left, but obviously the final is the biggest game now. The rest are all, making sure we get top 4. But if you can't play, you can't play. It's another injury, knockback, setback. Because when he doesn't play, we see the difference in us, don't we? We see the difference.
Did you see Bruno in person on Sunday?
No, I didn't. How could I have? Where was I sat? And I didn't.
Well, no. Look, there's footage of you interacting with someone last Thursday.
You think about what you're saying. If you want to get CSI, let's really do some CSI. Bruno wasn't even in Spain.
I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to ask questions.
Your hand. No,
you're ask questions. It's fine.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know. You're well connected. You're very well connected. So I don't know.
Not having it. No, I'm glad you've done that. I'm glad I'm obviously disappointed that Bruno's injured, but you know what? In that, you've come to light. Bruno wasn't even in Spain. And you're knocking at it, Do you know where I was sat in Wembley? I was probably sat the furthest. Ironically, I was sat the furthest away from the pitch.
I tell you what, get when you get up to those seats. I've sat there before, and the bit when you're walking up and you start seeing the roof. Like there's nowhere to go above you. And
I was literally
walking up those steps is no joke, by the way. And you get to the top, but one thing to be said: when you're up that high, from a tactical perspective, you literally see the shape perfectly, don't you? Like in terms of the actual tactics, how everything lined up, it looks very, very good.
Oh, it's perfect. It looks good. It looks like the ball's moving in slow-mo a little bit, though.
It looks like Football Manager. It's like Football Manager, when it's 2D and they're going like this.
Yeah,
it's like that. It's excellent.
But no, to answer your question, leave me alone. It's nothing to do with me. How about that? I'm just checking in. Sometimes you got to check these things, okay? Tick it off the list, no problem. Like Nikhil says, Owen was just checking on behalf of the community.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
I didn't like the way you did it. It's just, Flex, you didn't see him on Sunday, did you?
I could have been much more.
No, mate, I was a civilian. I could have right at the back.
I could have said, what have you done? Oh, I know it's you. I could have been very, very judgmental. I was not. I was asking. I was just asking questions. And another question I'll ask you. Well, says you, passive aggressive, Jurgen Fleck. I'll just quit the channel. That's what I'll do. Should we send the stream right now? Yeah. I'll ask you a question, though, about Bruno. And I mentioned this when I was watching the game on Sunday. And this maybe suppose goes into Thursday as well, is just how much we missed him Thursday. I mean, I felt in the first 15 or 20 minutes against Brighton, because he started quite sharp, actually, in that game.
Yeah, he did.
That you just go, we really miss him. Every time he doesn't play, which is rare, which is why this is a big story, because Bruno doesn't get injured. So whenever he does miss a game, usually by suspension or whatever, you go, wow, man, United, we look really slow, or we're not really linking up the play that well. And then when he comes back, you go, that's how important he is. He is at the heart of everything.
He just helps us tick. He helps the team overall just be a better team. If you want to break it down to just real basics, like instead of getting into the nitty-gritty of, he scored this much goals in this much appearances, he has this much chances created, he has this many assists. All of that stuff is the numbers side of it, where you say, he stacks up against De Bruyne, he stacks up against Odegaard. They're different conversations. In terms of making us play better, he just does it in everything. Through to mobility in midfield, the team just looks like it has more mobility because he runs around. He's very fit. He's not super quick. Like he's not lightning fast, but he has energy for days and he's really fit. And he has like a certain level of desire that can rub off on the rest. That actually in past seasons, when we were less structured, when it was just vibes with Ollie, Bruno was a little bit on his own tangent where it was literally him by himself, pressing everywhere, running everywhere. And actually more recently, especially not just under Ten Hag this season, but more recently when he's played deeper, in this new role where he looks after the ball a lot better and doesn't try as many Hollywood passes and give up possession, to the point where I've seen some of Bruno's biggest critics that are Man United fans, not outside the fan base, the ones that are his critics inside the fan base. I've seen them tweeting and saying things like, "Oh, that's the Bruno I want to see. Yeah, oh, keeping the ball. Oh, great, playing deep. He's doing the job really well." And when obviously before that, people say that, you know, we can't do anything. Bruno gives the ball away too much. He doesn't help us do this. And in the right games, even I learned in that period when he was playing deeper, that actually in the right games, when he's got time and space on the ball, he can play a more reserved role. And even when he's doing that, he still possesses the running stats, you know, the leadership, the desire. So, and the quality, obviously the quality. Let's not act like he's just a, you know, passion merchant. He possesses great quality as well. So, yeah, man, he makes us a much better team. And it's the same with some players when they're not there, and you just really feel it. You go, wow. I know, like, you just get so used to seeing him because he's so readily available. What's he missed? 9 games, and that's through suspension.
Yeah, I mean, it's
something like that in his whole time here.
Injured. Yeah, he doesn't get injured at all.
Doesn't get injured, so
you know,
even seeing him like that is weird.
Exactly, it's very strange. I mean, and you talk about what people sometimes say about him. I've seen, I'm sure you have, that thing of when they go, United are going to win nothing with Bruno Fernandes in the team. You can't win. You're not going to win trophies with Bruno Fernandes in the team. And I say, forget trophies. We're not going to win football matches if Bruno Fernandes isn't in the team. Because every time he's not, we usually don't win. And we've been saying, and this is why someone like Christian Eriksen's been so important this season, is previously it was only really Bruno in the side that had that sort of creativity, that sort of instinctive link-up play. That's why I think Eriksen's been so important this season, because Bruno's like, finally, someone that's actually on my wavelength, someone I can actually, you know, I can play advanced, and someone from deeper that can actually link up with me. Because even in the first half against Brighton, there were a couple of times where, again, it's Eriksen to Bruno, puts Bruno through, or it's at one point, it was, I think it was it Bruno back to Eriksen? Eriksen kind of scuffed it. So that link up is so important. So if he's not playing Thursday against Spurs, I mean, I remember at Old Trafford in the reverse fixture this season, he scored, didn't he? And he was really good. He was excellent.
Yeah, and that was
we will miss him
this season.
Yeah. There's no doubt that we will miss him. And how are you feeling about that game on Thursday?
Because well, I've recorded a preview. I'll tell you lot now.
Has the context changed?
I'll tell you guys now. I recorded a preview yesterday. We were supposed to do some stuff with expressions. It was just too busy. So we sort of done some stuff like
he's in hiding.
Yeah. Actually, to be fair, he's in hiding. And you know what? He to be fair to him, he did message me beforehand, even before that game happened to them, saying next week's looking a bit peak. I don't know if I can do it. And actually, to be fair to him,
he knew.
when he messaged me after, he goes, "You know, I'm not ducking because I said this to you before the game even happened." So I'll let him off, but we had to. So we just jiggled some stuff around anyway, and we've done one with Abby that's going to go out tomorrow. And in that, I was like, when I finished recording it, I thought, I think our viewers are going to be like, Flex, it's Spurs. Why are you a bit like, come on, Flex, they're crap, they're this, they're that. You should have been more confident. Because in the end, I said we'd win the game. I do think but there was basically caveats where literally what you're saying before, and this was before Ryan Mason got appointed and Stellini got sacked yesterday. So actually, when we do put that video out, there will be a little thing in the thing, you know, saying recorded before.
A little thing at the start, bottom of the screen. This was recorded.
Yeah, but actually, I think even in that, I think she still mentioned actually Stellini probably won't even be there by then. I think she maybe even said it. But anyway, to answer your question, Spurs are crap, yeah. And actually, if we score the first goal, that's going to be a really toxic place. That could turn really toxic. Like when Nuno, when we got him sacked, you know, we scored the first goal, and if the fans were booing, it was awful.
Yeah,
saying to the manager, "You don't know what you're doing." Now they got Ryan Mason, so they're not going to take it out on him because he's crap, and he's just there to fill in the gap. But you don't think it should change them too much because they're a poor side. But I just thought, you know what football's like, and more importantly, you know what we're like on the road in these big games. And there's enough evidence there to say that Man United away from home, I know Tottenham are awful, but they're one of the big teams. They're just below us, not in points, but they're the next team below us. So, you know, these are the games where something happens and we don't turn up sometimes. And then I went, you know what, though? We should be, because this Spurs side is so bad, we should be going there and treating them like a bottom half team. That's how crap they are. Go and play against them like we played against Forest, you know, like we played against Leicester, like we played against Southampton, or all the wins that we've got in the bottom half, you know. But it does give it a bit of an edge because that negativity of Stellini and Conte kind of has fully gone now. Even though Ryan Mason was there the whole time. What's he gonna? But what's he gonna change though? Is he gonna go back to a back four? He's not. I don't see him changing a lot, and I don't see like a bounce in terms of the fans going. The only way they can get the fans on board is if they start the game good and get the fans involved. They won't. The fans ain't going to expect anything. And again, that's on us to manage the game, manage the load. Don't make mistakes. Don't do anything silly that lets Son cut in and score. Don't leave Harry Kane free for the first 15, 20 minutes. Feel our way into the game, get corners, let them make saves, let their fans start moaning and groaning and get the first goal. And I think we win.
Yeah, I think the only thing we need to be cautious about is, you're right, I think if Stellini was still there, you wouldn't even really have to worry about anything, because the moment the game kicked off, it'd be a toxic atmosphere. They'd play defensive. The game would be totally in our hands and we'd be in control of it, I think. The only thing now we have to be quite weary of is that for the first 10, 15 minutes, there will be a bit more of an atmosphere there. Yeah. He'll probably try and play more attacking football, Ryan Mason, because they've got nothing to lose.
Like, why not? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's been negative. Let's get the fans on our side. He'll
probably think, all season we've played Conte, back five and defensive stuff, pragmatic, as X would say, it's fossil football and all that kind of stuff. So they'll probably try and do the opposite of that. But again, it's upon us to go, okay. And the only issue, that is my only concern, is I say manage that atmosphere. We ain't managed no away atmosphere this season at all. So it does feel like a bit of a perfect storm, doesn't it? It would be the right time to set that away performance to bed or anything like that. I just want to bring up, though, before you read that on the screen, I was thinking this when it got announced yesterday that Mason was taken over. And Man United have faced the following sides this season after sacking their manager or appointing a new coach: Spurs and Ryan Mason, Unai Emery at Aston Villa. We faced Leeds just after they sacked Jesse Marsh in that first caretaker game.
Twice. Yeah.
Ammonia sacked Neil Lennon. The Sharif manager resigned before playing Man United. And Sevilla, it was his third game overall, and that was the Europa League game. What is going on with new managers in Manchester United this season? That is insane.
It's like they know Man United's coming, so we better change the manager. And sometimes it works, and sometimes, like Unai Emery, we got flipping arses handed to us in that game. We got absolutely run up on. That was a really
even we played Leeds at Old Trafford. It was caretakers, but it was just like it was a bit different. You know what I mean? All that kind of.
You know what I'm saying? Players, when there's, and this is the thing that I know. Let me go back. Sachiv said, "Flex, I truly understand what your point about our away record against top 7 is horrible, but Spurs are a mid-table club, and I get that. The way they play, they're a mid-table club, but table, what kind of does like a Spurs are crap. They shouldn't be there, but they are." They are just below us, and if they do beat us, that's 3 points behind us. Then and then we have 2 games in hand.
We're still okay.
So look, it's not a catastrophe if we lose, but it will be a really bad one if we lose to that Spurs side, because they are absolutely awful. We should be looking to go there and put the final nail in their coffin, and their fans will be expecting that too. Their fans will be shitting it that they have to play us after playing so badly against Newcastle, and then they got to play Liverpool straight after us as well. So even if Spurs did nick a draw against us or even manage to beat us somehow, they will capitulate. They're Spurs. But I want us to do our jobs. I mean, this has turned into a little bit of a match preview here, but I want us to do our jobs. We have to manage it well. And like what Owen's saying, when there's a new manager, even if it's an interim, players do things differently. You'd think, like, just the pressure's off until adversity comes.
Yeah, or even like the assistant just goes. The assistant just will have a word with some of the people and be like, "Look, let's give the fans what they want. Let's not play."
Yeah, I'm not here to the end. I ain't going to try and ruffle your feathers and that.
Yeah,
just go out there. I know you're better players than what we've seen over the last 7-8 months. Let's get back to making this place a difficult place to come to, Harry.
Yeah, and
you get on it. Come on, Sonny. And
that's not to say like, oh, we're not going to win, because I still think we'll get the job done. But I think it's made it more difficult than the game was previously. I mean, Sashiv says there, our record against the top 6 away from home. Just looking at the table, we've only beat one team in the top 12 away from home. That was Fulham. So, like, awful. Again, and I saw Sashiv also said about goal difference. If we're going to get into goal difference, I mean, yeah, they've got a goal difference of 7, but our goal difference is only 9. Aston Villa's is 4. And I'm shitting myself playing Aston Villa at Old Trafford at the weekend, because they're playing excellent at the moment. So, look, it's strange, because you would look, like you said, you would look at Spurs' form, 1 win in 5, 2 consecutive defeats. The game at the weekend is absolutely appalling. But we have seen this season, because we have experienced it, that when you play teams that have got new managers in, it does change things. I still believe that even of watching this Spurs team all season, that we are good enough to go there, get a job done. I think you're right that if you get a goal relatively early on, it doesn't even have to be like in the first 10 minutes, but I think if you get a goal, to be honest, if you just go 1-0 up in the first half, then
just 1-0 up, just go 1-0 up.
Exactly.
But I forgot to change that actually. But if Bruno's missing for that game, do you bring in Fred this time?
He was excellent against Spurs at Old Trafford. He was probably man of the match against Spurs then. So maybe you did bring in Fred.
Do you bring him in, or do you go Sabitzer again in that 10, doing okay?
Either or. Why do you think with Fred? Because he was having a real good run in the side around the time which, we were actually playing really well, beating Barcelona, winning the Carabao Cup. And then he's just kind of dropped off recently. Not in the sense of his performances. He just didn't really get picked anymore.
Get picked, yeah.
Why?
I think because maybe Eric wanted to prioritize goals in that area, because he stumbled across Bruno playing better in that deeper role. Because who was Bruno playing with? He was playing with Casemiro. At
the time, it was Bruno, Casemiro, Fred. And then it kind of coincided a bit, I guess, with Casemiro being suspended for like 4 games.
Suspended,
and then he just sort of went, I'm not going to pick Fred. I'm going to pick Sabitzer and McTominay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was it. Sorry, McTominay. That was it. Sabitzer and McTominay. Yeah, because McTominay was back, wasn't it? And it didn't work against Newcastle. Then he played it against Brentford, and he played it against Everton.
Everton, yeah, and it worked twice.
Yeah, and then Sabitzer stayed in it after that, didn't he? Then he picked up a little injury where we thought he might not play against Sevilla because he missed. He missed Forest. He played in the home one and he missed Forest. So but then Eriksen was back for the Forest, so he went with him instead of Fred. So I think
Fred just hasn't got back in. He's just he
just hasn't got back in. It's just been a unlucky, roll of the dice at that point. But Fred will have when he's ready, Fred will come back in and do what Fred.
Because he came on Sunday and he was excellent. I thought when he came,
and he come on at the right point. He come on at the point where Eriksen was fading a little bit, like what it was before Eriksen got injured. Eriksen starts. And when it gets to midway through the second half, when it looks a bit leggy, you want that injection of energy and pace and, tenacity. You bring on Fred. And he did do that. And actually, that's probably how Ten Hag's looking at it, going back to that, because that's what it used to be. Let's face it. When we were doing quite well, Fred was that. We actually were saying at the time, I remember, that is the squad position for Fred.
Yeah.
Mainly. Mainly he's on the bench. But in big games, then he can start, Mark De Bruyne out of the game, go and do this. He's a big game player, definitely is that. He's capable of starting in any game because he's good enough. But ideally, you want players who are better on the ball, keep the ball better, more technical players. And then you bring in Fred, great weapon off the bench, especially in midfield, to kind of raise the intensity and the pace in midfield. So, I think between him and Sabitzer, but I don't know, I think Eric quite likes Sabitzer, quite likes him. He's trying to get a tune out of him, isn't he?
Well, and it does feel like
Bruno don't play. I think he does.
It feels like more and more there's this acknowledgement that we're going to try and do something with him in the summer, doesn't it? It feels.
I would play Fred. I would actually start Fred against Spurs.
I would, considering. I mean, it's an old Sir Alex trick, isn't it? Just you played well against him last time, bring him in.
And just the atmosphere. If it does get a little bit on, he can run around and get in people's faces and stand up and be counted in tough away days. And I know no one wants to say it because Spurs are crap. I get it. No one wants to give them any credit and they don't deserve it. I understand it. But this is football. The same way how, we got battered 7-0 in a game. And then, the next game was Southampton. I know we ended up drawing with the red card and stuff, but Southampton still had to come there and say it's still Man United. We're still playing them at home.
Yeah. So why can't you then play on Thursday? If it's not Bruno's, if Bruno's injured, why can't you say, okay, Eriksen, you're then more advanced, and why can't you play Casemiro and Fred?
Yeah, we can. But actually, he doesn't ever play Eriksen further forward. He likes Eriksen.
Very rarely. He did it maybe a couple of times earlier this season, and he went, I don't want to do that again.
It's not his thing. He doesn't. Eriksen is a tempo setter, and from deep, he sees things that other people don't see. He's the pass before the pass before the pass a lot of the times, and he's good at setting the tempo. Fred actually has the lungs to get completely forward, making runs into the box, arriving late, like he did against Spurs. He was everywhere. He scored in that game, didn't he? He hit off someone.
deflection.
The ball hit off someone, and he shot.
Yeah,
and then it went.
It was a proper deflection, and then
Yeah,
Bruno scored the sort of nice curled one in the bottom corner.
Oh yeah.
Spurs at the time, they were like third in the table.
5-0.
Yeah, and people were like, "Well, you know, they're not playing well, but Conte, whatever," and we absolutely battered them comfortably.
Yeah,
exactly.
We really did. So, yes, I think I would actually go with Fred from the start. In the absence of Bruno. Smash a like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Interesting story today out of the Sun. So take that as you will from the Sun. And they was claiming, I think it's Neil Custis, he wrote a piece saying that Rashford and Kane are set for 300k a week deals at Man United. Obviously, Rashford on 200k, looking to raise up to 300k, and Kane currently on 200k at Spurs. And if he comes to Man United, they will be able to increase that by 100k a week to 300k. So again, it's in the Sun, but I just thought it was interesting to see what everybody thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, as the report says, that according to this report, Rashford will be offered a bumper. It was like a bumper, £300,000 a week deal to remain at the club, whilst Kane will be given the same wage if he decides to join from Tottenham Hotspur, which it must be said would be a significant upgrade on the wage he's probably earning at Tottenham. I think, what's he on at Tottenham? I think it's like 200, 250, which is like far and above anyone else at that club. The report also goes on to suggest that these deals will be partly funded by David De Gea due to him agreeing a contract on a much lower salary than he's currently earning, which even that, I go, well, something's got to give them, because certain reports have suggested that he turned down 200k recently, David De Gea. And I know that's still a lot, i.e. he's on like, his original contract was 375, I think, because of the Champions League deduction. It's like 350 or something like that. But still, does 150k less per week, does that add up to giving Marcus Rashford 300k? Oh, and by the way, another 300k for Harry Kane if he were to come in? I don't know about that. I mean, as with anything, when it comes,
they would be on that though. They would that
wage would be.
If you get Harry Kane, you'd have to give him that.
Do you know what this annoyed me as well is because now you see those people that will say, "What happened to that? What was the report thing earlier this season? The wage cap, was it 200?
Ronaldo rule.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Then clearly that
we said it at the time, didn't we?
Yeah, is bullshit. Yeah, basically.
We said
because
when that came out, I said, and I think you said it as well. I was like, okay, guys, I know we need to address our wage bill and not just throw away money and get held to ransom. But at the same time, if you literally sign a thing or put in a principle that says nobody goes above 200k, well, then just rule yourself out for the top draw players.
Yeah,
rule yourself out of Osman. Rule yourself out of Harry Kane.
On over 200k at the club, multiple people
comfortably. Yeah, you can't. Like it, I know as fans, we want to go, nobody pulls our pants down. We don't pay whatever, It's the same with transfer fees and it's the same with pay money. And actually, it's a little bit like what Kenny said yesterday on the Full View. Obviously, not to the extreme that he said it. Yeah.
Not my money.
But it's not our money. Yeah. not my money, lad. Pay the money. Pay the money.
Merteness. Merteness.
Maguire. Go on holiday, lad. go to the beach.
Go to the beach.
Kenny, what a guy. What a legend. Oh, I love Uncle Kenny. But back to the point. He's right in terms of like, it's not our money. Like, you can't be stupid with it. I get it. You can't be stupid. We do need to address what's going on with the wages. Like putting David De Gea on less and, that's smart. Not giving young kids and going after 150 million pound players and then giving them extra wages. That's smart. But you can't just go, no one gets above 200. No, don't care if you're Casemiro and you've won everything. I don't care if you're Harry Kane and you're going to be the Premier League's the highest goal scorer ever. I don't care if we try and buy Mbappe in the future. We got a cap, mate. We got a cap. Well, then you're literally segregating yourself and cutting yourself off from a big market of top draw players. And this just proves it. So, 300k. Listen, 300k for Harry Kane is the going rate. Goals are a premium. Someone who, if you get Victor Osimhen, you can say he's young and he's this and that. The guy's going to cost over 100 million. So he's going to be on massive, massive wages. Come to Man United if he is to come. He's going to be on well over 200. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course he is.
Surely
Of course he is.
250, 300. He's going to be one of the most sought after strikers in the whole of Europe. He's going to have Real Madrid knocking. He's going to have Bayern Munich knocking. I mean, he's going to have big teams knocking. And you have to compete with them teams in terms of wages. So, yeah, whether it's Kane, whether it's Osimhen, maybe if it's one of them younger strikers, what's his name, Højlund, or, you know, even that Gonzalo Ramos is stupid money, who I don't even rate that much, but he's stupid money. So, yeah, that doesn't surprise me to see those figures, to be fair. I don't think that's total crap of like, if Harry Kane did come, he'd probably be on that. And Marcus Rashford's new deal would probably be about that, wouldn't it, really?
I mean, Harry Kane at Spurs right now, his current contract is 200k. That's what his current contract is at Spurs. So, I mean, you could, I know, because I saw a thing, Vidic did an interview with Rio recently, and he said, I actually took less money to come to Manchester United from Spartak Moscow. And you go, that's great, but that was 2006. And,
it's different.
You know, it's different. And also as well, you know, we're talking about, again, the top goal scorer in England's history.
Well, he was unknown pretty much.
Exactly.
He was 6 million quid?
Something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, crazy.
And you know, and that is one of those ones where it's like, you know, it's about the opportunity rather than, you know, the money in that case. But again, like, it's going to be more than 200k. It's going to be. It's going to be. And like you said, we said at the time that wage cap thing didn't make a lot of sense because you've already got people that are far above that, and you've got people that are either on it or above it, that their next contract, just because of how football works, it's going to be higher, i.e. Marcus Rashford, i.e. Luke Shaw. So you're already going to break your own rule in seconds, you know. so it's impossible to maintain it. Like, the idea behind it of, we need to get some people on lower wages, we need to ensure that, you know, we're not overspending and the contracts are inflated, i.e. you have like a Jadon Sancho on like 350k a week. That's too much. Clearly that's too much. Or when we signed Alexis Sanchez and he was on like 500k a week or something ridiculous, that's out of control, clearly. But it's just 200k nowadays, unfortunately, at a top club. I know, like, people can say, oh, Man City and Liverpool, and you were right, we do need to get it down on average, but it's going to be, like you said, for Harry Kane, it's going to be around that amount of money. For Victor Osimhen, it's going to be around that sort of 250, you know. It's just what it's going to be.
And to be fair, in the comments, and I think the general consensus, I don't think anyone's mad at, again, the goals are the premiums, aren't they? That's what you pay the big bucks for. Putting the ball in the back of the net is the hardest thing to do in football. You know, it really is. On a consistent basis, it's the hardest thing to guarantee in your team, to get somebody who gives you that, because that's what we've been crying out for. And this ain't me just trying to wax lyrical about Harry Kane. This is me waxing lyrical about a striker that can do it, whoever it is. If it's Osimhen, if it's Vlahovic, if it's some kid we ain't even heard of before who ends up coming, I don't know. Whoever the striker is, we are crying out for more goals at the top end of the pitch from a reliable source. Rashford just has the season of his life. He's put up Harry Kane numbers this year, where we're like, and that's in all comps, not in the Prem. Harry Kane has done it in the Prem again. You know, so he isn't at that level of goals scored, Rashford, and a lot of them have been at home. I was reading yesterday actually as well. But he's had a fantastic season, unbelievable season, up there with the best in terms of all competitions. But in terms of Premier League goals and consistently scoring and in the 9 position as well, it's a big premium, and we have been crying out for it. You know, Martial is not going to be that guy. Even if Martial was to stay fit, he's probably still not that type of guy who's going to get you. I know he had one good season a couple years back where him and Rashford both had their best seasons under Ollie. I think that was, they did quite well. That was the season. I think it was the season after we got rid of Lukaku and Alexis.
Yeah, the season when he was like, you know, he was the main guy. He was the number 9. Yeah. But even that, again, it's funny, because people talk about that and Martial, they'll go, yeah, remember that season?
Yeah.
Harry Kane, it's been that every season.
He's been above all these guys. Exactly. Every season.
Every season.
Exactly.
And it's just, again, I know I kind of went on a bit of a rant about it last night to open up the full view, but I was thinking about it once we finished. I just thought, I'm very comfortable in the reality that we signed Harry Kane. I'll be very, very happy with that, because he will score goals at least for 2 or 3 years. And then I saw some people saying, yeah, but there's no sell-on value. You don't buy Harry Kane for sell-on value. You don't buy Harry
Kane. You didn't buy Casemiro for that.
No, for sell-on value. You don't buy. There's certain players. You know, if you're buying a young player, you think, in the future we can sell him on, all that kind of stuff. Man United, frankly, shouldn't be a selling club. Obviously, if we're going to get rid of people, we should aim to get the best deal possible. But you don't buy Harry Kane with the idea of, in 3 years' time we're going to sell him for a good amount of money. It's not about sell-on value of him. It's about scoring goals and hopefully winning trophies because of his goals. And again,
for me, you sign Harry Kane. What is he? He's about to turn 30, so you give him a 4-year deal. Let's say a 3+1. Give him that. Actually, he's 30, so he probably might even want a bit. You might even want a 4+1. You might even want a 5-year deal. You know,
maybe.
If you're Harry Kane's representatives, and you know this is the last big one of your career to take you into like when you're at the top, because after this contract, you might have to go down or go on like a year by year if you're still that guy. At the end of that contract, or if it goes terribly wrong, then you want to get out. But he's going to want the security of at least 4 years, at least. Surely Harry Kane's going to want that at approaching 30 in the summer, and you're going to be, you know, the best striker in the Premier League there's ever been, numbers wise. Because obviously he's not like better than Henry in that, but you know what I'm saying. But in terms of numbers, you're going to get the record. He's going to be one in 4 years. So if you get like Sachif says there, if you got Harry Kane and then you went and say you spent 100 mil on Harry Kane, and knowing Brighton to get Evan Ferguson would probably actually be quite a lot. It'd probably be about 50.
They'd ask for about 50. But this is what I mean. So this was kind of the comments I was referring to. So Lux Hill says here, it makes no business sense to get Harry Kane if he doesn't have sell-on value. I don't think you buy any.
The business sense is he brings us success and goals.
Yeah, success. I don't think you buy at any club. Forget Harry Kane. At any club, when they're buying their top striker, one of the last things they're thinking about is sell-on value. They don't think, if we're buying Osimhen, are we thinking about how much we're going to sell him for in 5 years' time or anything like that? Of course we're not. We're saying he's going to be here for the rest of his career and he's going to score all of those goals. When City signed Haaland, they might have thought that maybe in the future, maybe he could go to Real Madrid, but they knew they were going to get money anyway. But they're not thinking about selling him. They're not thinking about blah, blah, blah. If anything, they took out that clause in his contract. There was a release clause. They got rid of it now because Pep's re-signed. Because again, they don't think about that. They're thinking about what they're going to bring.
Haaland.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to take out that release clause and all that kind of stuff. So my point being is that and we're talking star striker, not just a striker, and we'll see what happens. Star striker. This is going to be the centerpiece of our attacking lineup. He's going to get 20 plus goals every single season. They don't consider that. Like, in my opinion, anyway, I don't think that's how football works. That might be how business works, but how often have we come on this channel and we've spoken about they've got to leave the business aside. Let's not think of it as a business. Think of it as a football club.
Get the players. Get the best players for the
Sir Alex Ferguson, when he bought Van Persie, did he think, I'll tell you what, in a couple of years' time, we'll get money for him? No, he went, I'm going to get him in because we lost on goal difference. And if we score more goals, we'll win the league. And we did, you know. But I don't understand that part of it. Maybe I'm missing something.
Minna is straight Osimhen in. She wants Osimhen straight up. She was very vocal about that yesterday. Woman Kelvin's wants that Ramos. Honestly, I've not really seen much of him. Is he even that good? Yes, he came on for Ronaldo.
His numbers are good in the Portuguese league this season. They are quite good. I'll get them up now.
I can't profess. I'm not even being snobby. I actually haven't watched much of him, so I can't. The only time I've seen him play, and again because I was there, is when he started against Ronaldo against who was it against? Whose group was they in? Oh no, it was quarterfinal, wasn't it?
He got the hat trick, didn't he?
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. Someone put it in the account. I was there as well. I can't remember who it was. I went to so many games. But he's Switzerland. There you go, Switzerland. And he scored like a hat trick in that game, didn't he? And it was brilliant.
Yeah,
he scored like left foot goal, right foot goal.
In the Portuguese league this season, he started 25 games. He scored 17 goals and got 6 assists. So it's not bad. Okay. It's not bad. Champions League, started 10 games, scored 3 goals, 3 assists. Again, Champions League football, not bad. So you're talking about in all competitions, he's played over 40 games, 25 goals, 11 assists. Not bad. Not bad.
So he's all right. Okay, he's all right.
To be honest, that's around sort of Rashford-y-ish numbers, isn't it?
Yeah.
About 40 goals. I think Rashford's played maybe like a few more than that, but around sort of 25 goals. You know, it's not bad, but actually, let me do a comparison to Victor.
Well, Darwin Núñez was, doing well in that league. That's,
Yeah, the jump is bigger from the Portuguese league to the Premier League than, say, Serie A to the Premier League or
it's massive.
The Premier League to the Premier League in the case of Harry Kane.
Yeah, exactly. Premier League to Premier League. I think it's I don't goal. Look, like Owen said, we always say it. All transfers are a gamble. You know, even ones where players are going from Premier League to Premier League clubs. It's always a gamble. There's no absolute certainties, but there are some things I do believe that are certainties, and the certainty is that Harry Kane would score 20 goals a season for Man United. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. I just can't see how he doesn't. If he does it in that crap Spurs team, that awful, shocking team, and he carries them every single year, from when Spurs were all right under Poch to when they've not been ever since he's gone, the guy still scores goals. And it ain't just all penalties as well. That's another thing. It ain't just
I think it's
they
even
don't get that many.
Even that pisses me off when people do the whole, but it's all penalties. Oh, they don't
You're
count.
A shooter. Top strikers take the penalties.
You're not meant to score penalties, apparently. Like, if you get a penalty, take it. Score, of course.
Top number nines, like the big boys, like Lewandowski, like Kane, you know, they take it. Even does Haaland take the pens? Sometimes they change it a lot, don't they, at City? You know. Showram says, wrong flex. There's a big difference in culture at Spurs and the culture at United. He'll crumble under the pressure at United. No, I don't think so. I don't think I disagree, Showram, man. I don't. Basically, you're saying because he's played for Spurs, he's got a crap mentality. But look at every other players. There's like players that are less Spurs. You know, Modric looked all right to me. He wasn't clouded underneath the the Spurs cloud. I know that was a long time ago, but
Gareth Bale.
I don't think just because Gareth Bale, look what he achieved after he left Spurs. I don't think that you can. I think I would look at it the other way around and say Spurs is the curse.
I don't. Well, people. I mean, maybe I'm doing a revisionist history here, but when Real Madrid signed Modric or they signed Gareth Bale, was there this uproar of but he ain't won anything at these clubs? You know what I mean? Or at the time, maybe they'd won a League Cup.
Carrick, Berbatov.
Like again, I just
looks all right to me out of Spurs.
My feeling is, when people talk about, or even to a lesser extent, like people like Kyle Walker, we went to City, but he ain't won anything, all this kind of stuff. No, like
Trippier's done all right in his career since he left Spurs.
Yeah, he won the Liga. I don't think you can judge any player, any former Spurs player, on what they've won at Spurs because they don't win anything. And like with Harry Kane too, people focus on him missing the penalty at the World Cup against France, putting it over the bar. Like, never a good player's ever done that. Plenty of good players have missed great penalties, and in addition to that, I remember in the Euros final, he took a penalty, scored, like it's that for me is when he is, shifting the goalpost or stuff like that. And again, that's another thing of the Kane argument I don't understand. He hasn't won anything. He plays for Spurs. Of course he hasn't won anything. They don't win anything. Like that's,
so trying to double down on his point. Saying Carrick, Bale, Modric, Trippier, Walker all left after 2 to 3 years at Spurs. That's the big difference. They didn't let Spurs culture seep into them. So because Harry Kane stayed so long and he's become an icon and a goal machine there, he's going to leave and the pressure is going to be too much. Playing, getting slid in front of goal by Bruno, great balls by Bruno, and linking up with Rashford. And
we signed Teddy Sheringham from Spurs.
Exactly.
And he scored a goal for us in the Champions League final.
You don't get much more bigger occasion than that, does it?
Yeah.
No, I think that's really, I think that's quite lazy show, man. I think honestly, if I'm honest, I disagree with you there, man, because Harry Kane's proved it. He's just a goal machine, whether it's for England, whether it's for Spurs, and people label him with that mentality thing, just like obviously because it's Spurs. Oh, he's a bottle job. He ain't won no finals. He's just like the rest of them. He's not just like the rest of them. He's in an awful team year in, year out, and is up there with the biggest players in the league. Goes head to head with Sadio Mane in his prime, Mo Salah in his prime, Aguero in his prime. Like, he's been there with all these top players with Spurs, when all them other players that I've just mentioned have been at teams that have won stuff. Look what Aguero achieved. Look what Mo Salah's achieved. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and Son was another one who was consistently up there as well up until this year. So, I think you've got to give Harry Kane his respect for actually being able to even be in conversations like that. He's up there, obviously Haaland's on the next level, but now he's second to Haaland.
But that's what Minna said. That's what Minna said last night. And I thought it was a really good point when she said, look, if Erling Haaland wasn't in the league this season, people would be focusing more again on how good of a season Harry Kane is having in a bad Spurs side because he's got the second most goals in the Premier League again, because that's what he does. Like he scores.
Even the goal he scored against Newcastle at 5-0.
Nose up at the second top goal scorer in the Premier League. The person who's scored the most goals ever in the Premier League. If he were to stay at Spurs, sign a new contract, we'd still be saying, yeah, he'll get 20 plus goals. Watch out for Kane because he'll score goals. Because that's what he does. that is what he does. He's not that great at anything else, but he scores goals.
Even that goal against Newcastle the other day, he was like, you know what? I'm still getting my goal. Like I'm like, you lot are shit. Like, okay, I can't do anything else. But even that goal, that was a good goal. And at Newcastle were pissed as well because they lost their clean sheet. Pope was like flipping out, trying to catch back up to De Gea. Couldn't even do it against Spurs. Conceded, mate. Do you know what I mean? Conceded. Best defense in the league because Harry Kane, too good. Couldn't stop him. Left foot, crossed the goal. Pope couldn't do nothing. I'm reaching a little bit, but you get my drift. You know what I mean? He was fun.
That's what I mean. Anyone that's at Spurs, I don't think you can overlook.
Yeah, that's the way you look at the Spurs thing.
You know what I mean? That's it. You can't overlook the losing culture. And
show Rahman just quickly. Do you think if Kane was at Spurs when they left, do you think there would have been a mentality problem? He wouldn't be able to. All of a sudden, because he's just going to freeze in front of goal now. Because the thing is, I think you're underestimating as well. Because you're saying about the pressure. Because you're saying you agree about his goals. But when you're a goal scorer, the reason why you score so many goals is because you don't feel the pressure. It doesn't matter what stadium you're in. It doesn't matter who you're playing for. It doesn't matter what defenders you're in front of. When you see the net, when you see the goal, when you're in the penalty area, it's so autonomous. How many goals has Harry Kane scored? That's so autonomous. One touch, clean strike, header, bang, half volley, bang. Do you know what I mean? Tap in, poaches, anything. Because that is his fine motor skills. That is what he has. It doesn't matter where he's playing, who he's playing for. You give him the ball in that position. It doesn't matter if he's playing for Wrexham or if he's playing for Man United. He's putting the ball in the back of the net because that's what he does. That's what he's good at. Do you know what I mean? So I disagree with that pressure thing. If he played for City, you think that basically now he'd start missing chances now and the pressure. I don't understand what you mean. Like if he plays for Man United at Old Trafford, what, is going to be too many fans in there? 75,000, you know, what would you... I don't understand how the pressure. What? I don't get it.
And people can talk about the money because I see that's the thing that people don't like too when they say 100 million for a player that's got 1 year left in his contract, and it's a lot, but that's going to be how much Harry Kane costs, almost irrespective of how much he's got left in his contract. If we want to sign Osimhen or Kane, it's 100 million plus. And as I said before, I know I've said this over and over again, but you're living in a reality where someone like Robert Lewandowski at the age of 34. With 1 year left on his contract, is going to Barcelona for about half of that. Harry Kane's 30 this summer. So he's got 4 years on Robert Lewandowski. So by that kind of maths, Lewandowski over a year left on his contract would have probably cost something similar, because those kind of footballers, those kind of strikers, where it's not so much about physical attributes, it's about instinct, goal scoring. There isn't, when they're 30, that's nothing. They've got 5 more years of scoring goals like that. Again, because they're not based on pace. They're not based on anything like that. That's what they do. And I think, again, this idea that, he'd freeze if he comes to United, I don't see that. He's done it for too long at Spurs. If we were talking about, he'd done it for 3 years at Spurs, and I go, well, then you never know. But when you're talking about a guy that's done it for a decade, and every single season as well.
He scored against all the big teams as well. It's not like...
Every new season, every time they do a new season, they go, I'm not sure about Kane this year. Like I said, they called him a one season wonder for like 10 years. It's crazy. I mean, and when I've done the Lewandowski thing, I get this too. Don't compare Lewandowski to Kane. I will, because if I'm telling you now, if Harry Kane was up Bayern Munich or at Borussia Dortmund the same time that Lewandowski was there, he'd have scored the same amount of goals. He would have, and he'd have won trophies then. And that's not to put down Lewandowski. His achievements incredible, and he should have won the Ballon d'Or that season when it got cancelled for COVID. That was bullshit. But I don't, like I said, I don't understand the notion of turning our nose up at arguably.
It's because people don't like him because he hasn't won anything, and they think he's a bottle job because he hasn't chose to further his career up until this point. And you know what? If Harry Kane decides to stay at Spurs and protect his Spurs legacy and sign a big deal there and finish his career there, then that's on him. He obviously would be more concerned about preserving that legacy, getting a statue, and doing that. And then he's like, cool, that's fine. I'm happy. I'm happy to do that. But that's up to him. That's up to him if he wants to do that. If he chooses to do that, we can't stop him. But if he does choose now to go, right, at the 30, this is my last chance. I have to go somewhere now. I have to go somewhere now. I don't think you can use that as a stick to beat him with, that he's not as good as, as a player, as like Lewandowski and thing. If you don't think that, I don't think you understand football, to be honest. Because look at the strikers and look at their skill sets and look at the numbers. Look at the numbers in Kane in a shit Spurs team. Lewandowski's played for some of the best teams in Europe consistently. Bayern Munich walk the league every single year. They get to the latter stages of the Champions League. Barcelona competing for the league. I know they've been a bit rough recently, but they're always at the top end of La Liga doing something. Big club, big players in there. So you can't just go the guy who's played with bloody Skip and Højbjerg and bloody Ben Davis and Emerson Royale and bloody flipping Richarlison who can't do nothing and all these crap rubbish players, and now all of a sudden he's and got so many goals. Yeah, but he's rubbish. It's not a real reflection of that.
And I get you get hit with this stick as well. You get hit with this stick. You get typical British bias. British bias is a real thing, and I totally agree with that. British bias is saying that Declan Rice is worth £100 million because Declan Rice is not worth £100 million. British bias is speaking up some of these English players to say that they're amazing when they're not because of the Premier League tax. Harry Kane, that is not British bias because any team in the world, apart from Man City, because they got a striker and they wanted Harry Kane too, by the way, any team in the world would take Harry Kane in their side today. They would because he's goals and goals are.
Here's the thing. So you see this, yeah? You see this, that G-Man, this is interesting. Sorry, Flex, but Kane is not in Lewandowski's league. So apart from the things they've won, because they've been at different clubs, because obviously football's a team game. Look at Ryan Giggs was amazing at Man United, but he couldn't do anything for Wales because Wales were shit. Like he's in a shit team. Like Gareth Bale won loads of things at Real Madrid, couldn't win anything with Wales because Wales are shit. Like, let's put this into perspective, yeah? Take away the trophies. What does Maguire's, because I just see it there. What does Lewandowski do that Harry Kane can't do? Just tell me what because I'm not saying that Kane is way better than Lewandowski and Lewandowski can't talk to Kane. I'm saying they're both top draw and Kane can do what he does. What can Lewandowski do that Kane can't do? Oh wait. Is it hold up play? Is it link up play? Is it finishing? Is it goals? Is it penalties? Is it headers? Is it volleys? What is it? Is it pace? Lewandowski's more mobile. I think actually, if you're looking for a like for like, I think Kane and Lewandowski are probably the most.
I said that's why they said I feel like they're comparable. I feel like they're comparable. If anything, I would say
pace and physical.
Lewandowski pace. I mean, I'm not sure about that one. I would say, if anything, Lewandowski's more of a poacher than Harry Kane. Harry Kane, I think, can score different kind of goals than Lewandowski, i.e., when he drops deeper, those kind of goals. I think he can score that. And I think, but again, my point is with the Lewandowski one, the only reason I compare them is because he went last year for about half the price and he's 34 with 1 year left on his contract. Someone put it in there. If Harry Kane had 4 or 5 years left on his contract, they'd be saying that he's worth 200 million. They would.
Lewandowski's like Messi now. He's got amazing. He can change direction really quickly, put it through your legs real quick, it's so mobile. What is going on? Lewandowski is a proper thoroughbred number 9. Just like Harry Kane, just like, what's his face? Benzema, just like Aguero. They're actually a dying breed of striker. They're actually that old school 9, Shearer, Cole, Aguero, Van Nistelrooy, Lewandowski, Benzema. These type Raul, like straight up 9s, shooters, goals, bagsman, 9s. Not great at running channels and great at assist and skill out a couple man. Just old school number 9. I put numbers on the board. He's that. He is that. So I don't know. I just think if you're gonna not want Harry Kane, I'm not against that. I just think make it be the right reasons. Don't make up rubbish that like he's
like
nowhere
this.
near.
Have you ever heard Kane say the word trophy? Yes, I'm sure he has said the word trophy before in interviews.
Actually,
And
use it in a
again,
sentence. No, because he cares more about the individual achievements.
no, again, like he plays for Spurs. Spurs and trophies in the sentences don't really go that don't happen that often. But of course, so we're saying before he played in the Champions League final, he didn't say we want to win the trophy. I mean, I know it's very pedantic, but this is the kind of route that we're going down. I mean, again, in my opinion, and I know it's not the majority opinion, because we did the poll yesterday, and the preference is Osimhen. And again, happy to get Osimhen, no problem. If something comes up tomorrow, United are going in for Osimhen, brilliant, happy with it. But again, this notion that Harry Kane is just not good, because that's what it feels like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To denigrate
what he
has achieved, I think is
insane. I agree with you there, Callum. Also, as well, I don't know if it's still the case. I think it might still be, but correct me if I'm wrong. The two players who together got the most goals and assists, isn't it still Kane and Son? Or has that changed now? You know, like when combined for the most amount of goals. I'm sure it's still Kane and Son.
They've got the most combined goals in Premier League history, certainly. And to be honest, again, you want to talk
and
about
that
Spurs
is insane.
This season,
and you're talking about Spurs.
You talk about Spurs this season, where Son, by his own accord, has been crap and hasn't been scoring goals. Harry Kane hasn't dropped off. Hasn't dropped off because he doesn't. he doesn't.
Yeah. Anyway. Smash the like on the video, subscribe.
We've got a whole summer of this coming up. This is going to be fun.
I know. Oh, it's going to be, don't want him. He's rubbish. He's this, is that. And then if we don't get him, told you, Eric didn't even want him. Honestly, it's going to be insane. Just quickly, it was really funny to see some quotes from Matoma, basically about Wan-Bissaka, about playing against him. I thought that was really funny.
Total defeat.
Basically saying total defeat, mate. I just struggled. He said he's a strong opponent. That is what I thought while I was playing. There were a lot of scenes where his spider leg stretched at the end, or he got the ball down to the back. I think it was a complete defeat. I mean, that is really humble of Mitoma. It sums up the sort of guy he is. Actually, must be a really pleasant guy. I watched an interview of him the other day, actually, when he was had to name. I think he had to
name like 10 Japanese players in
in the league, and he forgot flipping Tomiyasu, who he just played with in the World Cup. So but yeah, it was Wan-Bissaka was just unbelievable against him. He was unbelievable. He really was unbelievable. So smash the like on the video. A lot of content coming your way. Obviously in the lead up to the Spurs game, we'll have some previews as well. Go on.
How are you feeling about FIFA?
Oh yeah, I've got FIFA later on.
How are you feeling? It went better last time.
We started, it went better, man. It went better.
Yes, actually.
After international breaks, we're not great. We should probably buy Mitoma on FIFA, actually.
When you have when there's like, because you start off slow. That's the problem with you and KG. You start off slow. It takes a while to get going. You don't warm up, guys, because it's impossible to warm up because KG shows up 2 seconds before kickoff.
Exactly.
So you can't warm up. But you got better last time. Communication's key.
We did. Yeah. I know.
Flagy. I mean, you're mid-table side.
We are mid-table, and I really want to win the league, but I just don't think we're going to be able to. Even if we won like every game, I don't think we'll be able to do that. But it's going to have to be next season, looking for the league, But we're in the Europa League. We've done well in that, didn't we? We won a couple in that. We drew against Leeds at home, and I wasn't happy. Was that Leeds? We shouldn't have.
Well, you don't want to
play again.
And like, I think because you're on a good run, you just got maybe a bit overconfident, not clinical enough, didn't take chances, and it came back and it came to bite you. But since the loss, because who was your first game against the last session? Was it against Liverpool?
Yeah,
it was a big game, and you lost. But then after
we drew. Oh no, we did lose.
You lost that, and then after that, you didn't lose a game.
We played really well.
Yeah. There was a couple of wins there. I think maybe a draw. So
Yes, 1:30 FIFA Flexing KG. We will be resuming our our progress as Flay G. And 6 p.m. tonight, you will get the Flexing KG show as well.
Did we do super chats, by the way?
Don't think we did. I must have missed those. So, oh gosh, yeah. Grant Napier, big up to you. Latest member of the UV Members Club as well. So big up to you. Welcome to the family. Keegan, member for 10 months, always been part of it. Says we don't have a good record against teams who have new managers. We need to secure Champions League. Hashtag Glazers out. 100%. We definitely need to. Ahmed says we all remember how terrified we all were when City was about to sign Kane. He is that guy. Yeah, everyone said it's going to be a cheat code. Oh, City got Kane. That was only 2 years ago. Yeah. Oh no, yeah, and now all of a sudden he's rubbish. And it's just Danny says Kane is our RVP. The guy is complete. So yeah, thank you for the super chats, guys. Contrasting thoughts about that, you know, just everybody has their own views on him, don't they? They do. But we will see you again today at 1:30 live for FIFA. Director of football may be present. I don't know. We shall see. Take care, guys. See you later. Peace.